Good evening, everyone. My name is Tushar Nair, and I've been working with Advocate Vivek Narayan Sharma for almost a year now. Like most people, I was about to drop out, like most of the ones here. I'm a first generation lawyer too, and I was about to drop out of the law almost a year and a half back. I had promised myself that if this internship did not work out for me, I was going to drop out of the law and do something in the world of men's bespoke fashion. But luckily, I think the internship worked out well for me, and I've been here for the last 1.5 years. As a 17-year-old, I used to read about the Supreme Court of India. I used to read about landmark cases, and I used to admire the institution that is the Supreme Court. Now, years down the line, the 17-year-old Tushar would be in awe if he saw me today, seeing the person he's become today, who's actually working on cases of national importance and cases that are actually creating history now. All thanks to my mentor, Mr. Vivek Narayan Sharma, who has groomed me in the last 1.5 years, and he's the only reason I'm the man today. Any which ways, moving forward. So, as a first generation lawyer, when I joined Vivek sir, the only task I had initially was to read judgments, and I hated it. I absolutely hated reading judgments because they were too lengthy and they were too complicated. A year and a half later, I realized that reading judgments was one of the best things that he inculcated the habit into me of reading judgments, which was the best thing he ever did, because now I can understand and comprehend complicated texts very easily. Now, the first big task I was ever given was to work on an arbitration case which was worth 700 crores. My task was to index and sort the evidence for the arbitration. I made a colossal mistake which would have ended up in catastrophe hadn't he pointed out the mistake I had made. Now I was afraid I was really afraid that I was going to be fired of the job, and I thought I'll be sent home packing. But instead, he calls me on a Sunday morning and he goes like, "It's okay, गलती तो सब करते हैं, ऐसे ही तो बंदा सीखता है, वरना कैसे सीखेगा कोई?" And since then, I have had the honor and the privilege of working with him on several cases before the Supreme Court, and I've also had the honor of working on 3 cases of national importance. The first one being Ashwini Kumar Upadhyay versus the Union of India, famously known as the election freebies case, wherein Sir and I worked on the strategy and arguments for the Union of India. The second case being the very famous, the very popular Vivek Narayan Sharma versus the Union of India, also known as the demonetization case, wherein the constitutional validity of the demonetization was challenged before the Supreme Court. And the third case, which is still pending before the Supreme Court, being the marital rape exception case, the constitutionality of the marital rape exception case. Now, I was the same guy who was about to drop out of law, who wanted to do nothing with the law. And I'm the same guy standing right before you who's worked on all these cases and who loves the law more than anything as of today. Now, it's not only about law, what he's taught me whenever I needed a friend, whenever I needed advice on my personal things, whenever I needed advice about my family, whenever I needed advice about my relationships, I would just walk up to him and I would ask him, and he would sit me down, he would tell me stories about his own life, and he would teach me things that nobody else could. Now, the thing I've realized is the first and the foremost thing that he's taught me is balancing both strength and compassion is not difficult. Most people think if you're very powerful, you cannot be compassionate, or compassionate people are seen as weak. That's a very foolish perspective to have. I believe, and he's taught me this, that balancing both strength and compassion is very easy, and it can be done, and it makes you a better human being. Now, in the last 1 year, he's also taught me one more thing, which is very important, which I hold really close to my heart. The fact that I'm young, I can actually go to people and I can seek help without making myself look weak and vulnerable, which most people think. People think that if you go and ask for help, if you seek help from others, you are weak and vulnerable. That's not how it works. Growth will never happen in vacuum. And I've realized that if 5 people around me are growing, only then am I going to grow. If people around me are doing well, only then I can do well, or else it's just static. Nobody's moving anywhere. So all of that. In the last 1 year, we've made memories. He's been like a father figure to me. Although we go to the party, we go for different parties together, we go for dinners together, and people often call him my elder brother, and people think he's as old as me. But he's been there. He's constantly been there as a friend, as a mentor, and as a guide for myself. Now, with that, I introduce you to my mentor, Mr. Vivek Narayan Sharma.
Yeah, good evening, all. I'm glad that I have been able to interact with you with the help of Tushar. And Tushar has really worked on this very idea. He told me that he was about to leave law, and then another of my intern, Brinda, she, after spending so much of money in the law education, she told me that she's also going to change the field. So I was really, it was a setback for me that people who have put in those many years of education in inculcating a habit in law, they're going to leave law. So I started to trace the reasons. What are the reasons? So Tushar and several other people really helped me out. What are the possible reasons for such a mishap? I will say mishap because you have put in your valuable 5 years, and thereafter you are going to you study law and do not practice law in any form, either be it litigation, be in company, be joining the government or the law firms. N number of options are there, being a lawyer. So it was a setback for me to really understand. So I sat down to understand what could be the reason. So it worked out to me that most of the time, the lawyers from the first generation, when we are essentially referring to those people who are not having background or their parents are not having those kind of skills to really teach them how to move forward when there is a blockade. And there are so many blockade in terms of achieving a particular kind of job that you are looking for, a particular discipline of law that you want to practice in, or any particular office you want to join in. So many times you find so much of difficulty also in finding good internships. So there are various kinds of blockades which really make them to leave the field of law. So I decided if I could do something, then I should do that thing. So in my answer to this problem, I, along with my team, we initiated this effort, which for the first time we are coming on live with you guys, and this is only the beginning. So I would be planning effectively for your welfare, to mentor you, to guide you, to support you, and all of you. And therefore, in return, I would be demanding that we build a community not in adverse to those people who are not of first generation, but rather to become friends with those who are already trained, who have the family background. So therefore, their minds are much more mature in the field of law, which the first generation lawyer is missing. So therefore, I want to make the minds of first generation lawyers to be much more mature than they are today, or they have been in the past. So if we create a community of this sort, it would be mutually beneficial. It would create harmony, and it will also create growth for all of you. And at the same time, there is always an old adage, a say, when we are together, we can achieve much more. And when we are alone, so the kind of caliber, potential that one may have will always might be deficient to explore, and their full potential will not be utilized. So to utilize your full potential, I am opening the gates of a community. That is a first generation lawyer. So VNS KUTUMB. The KUTUMB word is very well known in Indian mythology, originating from India. That means the parivar, the family that we have. So I am extending my family, including you all. Of course, there would be code of honor in the family, which in the coming time would be circulated to all of you, those who are going to join the groups. So it would be circulated to all those people who are on the WhatsApp groups and those who are going to join in future. So you see, whatever I am today, I was not like this. So I might have been situated in a worse possible scenario than what you might have been. So back in time, I was studying in Hindi medium. So all my education took place in Hindi medium. I was studying in Meerut, so the exposure of a metropolitan was not there with me. So being a small town, so a small town, maybe a small mentality people around. I am not, means no adverse comment on that. That small mentality, there are always some people who will guide you. Like they will enlighten your way. But at the same time, most of the people will not think beyond the box. So that beyond the box thinking is not just present in small towns, which is much more present in the big towns. Then third problem was I was not having any background in law. Then fourth problem was when I came to Delhi, I did not know anyone. So it so happened that on 2 occasions, I had to spend my night on road as well. Well, cutting it short, there would be time which will make you struggle. There would be time which will make you think whether you want to do this or not. But then I created my own vision and I worked very persistently, diligently with the vision to achieve certain kinds of success. So whatever I desired, I could achieve. Whatever I manifested at that point in time, I could achieve. And whatever I am devising, it is my track record that I have been able to achieve, be in social work, be in personal space, be in my own fitness, be in the fitness of my own family, be in the work relation, be in the courts, be in the arguments, be in the strategy. So any kind of space that I decided in my mind and I worked on it, I manifested it and I achieved it. So there was a very old, when I was in college, something very important I discovered. So I was an avid reader while I was in Hindi medium, but I was still a reader in I used to read Times of India daily. So there was a speaking tree column that used to come, the religious column. That was one of my favorites. So one time, a particular quote was published in there from Swami Vivekananda. So the quote said, fill the brain with high thoughts and highest ideals. And out of that will come a great work. Fill the mind with it day and night. And say, I am it. I am the Lord of the universe. Never was there any delusion. So this particular thought process, one more thing that was added in this, talk not about impurity, but say we are pure. I am it. I am the Lord of the universe. So this particular prayer that was published, quote from Swami Vivekananda, really transformed my life. I imbibed in my life the very reasoning which is contained in this prayer, in this wisdom quote, and it has worked as a central line in my life since then. And even today I used to follow certain discipline. So discipline is very, very important in life, which has made me what I am. So discipline is something which will work effectively for all of you. So nonetheless, we are not going to talk about too much about the discipline right now. So we are going to talk about why we are creating this. So there are problems which are there with all of you, all of us. So we have to omit that problem by way of creating a parivar, a kutumb. There is a lack of guidance, lack of mentorship, lack of support. So that has to be translated into guidance, mentorship, and support. So all the lacking has to be removed so that you have achievement, you have access to these. Then second very important part is there is lack of open space of means there is a limited access to legal resources. So we have to open those legal resources for you. Then third very important is opportunity for professional development. So those opportunities have to be, worked on as to how you can achieve those opportunities. So I would be working with you on all the areas in relation to these things. These would be the goals. Apart from that, there would be suggested goals from your side that you may always, devise, you may always tell us so that we could effectively guide you through. We could tell you how to achieve those things. The community works well when there is a cohesiveness. There is an inertia within the community. So that inertia has to have certain kinds of principles as well, which I said that we will send you the code of honor, which would effectively work for you all. So there is one very simple approach in life that we all have. हो जाएगा, कर लेंगे, नहीं किया तो क्या हो गया, कोई फर्क थोड़ी पड़ता है. So we will change this approach. So to be with me, the first thing that has to be changed in your mind is, no, we will do it. Let's do it. The firing principle should be, yes, we will do it. Assess the problem, work on the strategy, go to achieve the desired aim and achieve it. This is what you need to do. So there are various things that we are going to talk about, like how to develop clientele, how to effectively work on empowering the legal skills, how to establish your law practice, how to become established lawyer. So there are various questions that will come to your mind, which we are going to answer together. And with all this, we are going to help you to join us in various other arenas of life. Arenas like how to keep the mind silent. It's very important that you can achieve peace while working on any aim, on any game. So when you are doing any work, the peaceful mind can achieve much more higher potential, can achieve much more higher result than a disturbed mind. So it's all mind game that will play along with you. So there would be things coming in your mind that they would repeatedly affect you, affect your ability to deliver. It will affect the very essence of delivery. So you want to deliver something, you want to do something, but you will end up doing something else. So peace of the mind has to be created. It has to be reinforced. So there are those kind of life principles that we would be talking about. There would be many different principles that we would be talking about. I would talk about my experience. I would seek your experiences as well. Somewhere you will guide me, and many of the time I would be guiding you. But it would be mutual. So containing all these things in the perspective and having a build-up aim, I propose that we are going to help all the first-gen lawyers so that we build a community with the aim to build a community, to help each other and to be with each other. One foremost principle would always be that this community will not be adverse to any second generation lawyer or any third generation lawyer or any fourth generation lawyer, so be it. We are always friends. We will always remain friends. There should be no animosity that if we are bringing a community of first-gen lawyer, doesn't mean that we start hating the people who are from the same generation already. Or there is a benefit to them. They are better friends because they are having that knowledge with them. And that knowledge, if you share that knowledge from them, so you would be equipped with that kind of knowledge. So like I am sharing some knowledge with you, so it would be helpful for you in several other areas where you are going to work. Similarly, those people who can be helpful. But at the same time, it all depends how that particular individual is, whether he wants to help, or he or she wants to help or not. But in my case, I would be there to help you. I would be there to be there standing with you. And we would be there to guide you through the entire process so that no one who has ever been in touch with us has to leave law because of the blockade that has been created in their minds or in their situation, and they could effectively become established lawyer of the future. Because your good work will benefit the nation. And the nation, once the nation gets benefit, then I am always there to be with you. So it is that kind of achievement that we want. Each individual working good working, doing good work, building himself well. It's an aid to the nation. So this is a nationalist approach. This is a nationalist agenda that I have. That's my personal agenda, that each of you should become best of the lawyers, best of the advocates, whichever area of law you want to join, but you should achieve that thing. So in coming time, we will be coming with so many plans. As I told you in the openings, that I have already built so many plans for you. So I would be scientifically working as to how to evolve the best programs for you so that you could effectively achieve the desired goal of your attachment with me. And this is what we want to achieve. So if suppose you are there, you want to achieve those things which you desire, which you dream. So dreams do not come true without hard work. That's one very important fact. And dreams also do not come true without planning, strategy, mindfulness. With regard to hard work, a rickshaw puller does a lot of hard work. The entire day, the entire work any ordinary person will do, a rickshaw puller would do maybe 10 times or maybe 50 times higher than that hard work. But then the ability has to be developed. That strategy has to be developed. That vision has to be developed. So maybe that rickshaw puller who is rickshaw puller today, he had the chance to study, or maybe he did not have the chance. So if he did not have the chance, then it was the problem that he faced, that he could not do anything else. But what if he had the chance and he did not exercise that chance and therefore become the rickshaw puller? So we must understand, analyze, because lawyer's mind has to be ability to analyze. So that ability has to be multiplied in different directions, must be exercised in the best possible manner so as to achieve the best of the results. So hard work. So today's very important teaching, as Tushar had already told you, for all the law students, for all the lawyers in the bracket of 0 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years, 2 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, and even for me till now. I have already practiced for 24 years. Read at least 3 judgments of Supreme Court each day in the morning. That's the first thing I would do. Before opening the newspaper or doing any other activity, or going for a walk or gym workout or play, 3 judgments every day. The pill of 3 judgment will effectively work on you. The kind of base you will create in a year. 3 judgments every day, more than 1,000 judgments you would have read through. Read through means you have gained knowledge of different subject wise. So in coming time, when you are meeting some clients will meet you anywhere. Or you may be, interviewed by any third party to check your knowledge anywhere. Okay, are you aware about this particular subject matter? So 3 judgments every day will make you, effective. And once you have become effective, so the news spreads slowly but widely. And then you will start getting what you desire. But at the same time, things take time. There are other processes. This is only the beginning. So let's begin with this. Let's begin. All of us start reading 3 judgments of Supreme Court every day. You must have some questions. So we would be entertaining few questions for 5 minutes. So I will request Tushar to open the floor, and then we will also have a group picture. All of you can open your cameras. We will allow you to open the cameras in some time.
There's a question by Naveen Kumar.
So I'm reading a question from Mr. Naveen Kumar. Sir, I want to ask you that what is the difference between advocate and advocate on record of Supreme Court? Can a newly registered member of the bar practice in Supreme Court? So there are 2 questions in this. Difference between advocate and advocate on record of Supreme Court, and a newly registered member of the bar practice in Supreme Court. Yes, I will answer the second question first. Yes, a newly registered means there is no bar in practicing at Supreme Court till now. Bar Council of India had proposed that a person who has practiced for 5 years should be allowed to practice in Supreme Court. But that rule has not been implemented yet. So as on today, the scene is that you can practice in Supreme Court being newly enrolled as well. Second, the first part of the question is difference between advocate and advocate on record. So all our advocates, to be an advocate on record, you have to be an advocate practicing for 4 years, then undergo training for 1 year with an advocate on record of the Supreme Court who has passed the AOR exam 10 years back. So who is having 10 years experience being AOR, you have to take certificate, you have to practice under him for 1 year so that you could create efficiency and understand what is the work of AOR, advocate on record. And after that, you can appear in the examination. Once you pass this examination, thereafter you become advocate on record. So there in Supreme Court, being advocate, you can appear. And at times you can argue also if you are so efficient. But being advocate without being advocate on record, you cannot file any pleadings there. So that's the difference.
What are your tips for those in final year of law college apart from reading 3 judgments per day?
Who has asked the question?
Tanuj.
So Tanuj has asked me the tips for law student final year. So you must be very near to your examination also. If you are in final year, they must be on the corner. So nonetheless, final year students, of course, you must be able to comprehend which area of law you want to practice in 4 years' time. If suppose you are doing a course of 5 years, then in 4 years' time, you must have understood that what attracts you more, what kind of caliber you have. You want to join a corporate firm, you want to join public PSUs, you want to join government, or you want to join the corporate agreements and all, or you want to join litigation. So it is dependent. Anything that you wish to join, the answer would depend on that, because there is no fixed formula for all of them. But if suppose you have not identified which area you want to join and you are still looking for, then in that case, then you must have 1 year or 2 years litigation experience, which is very, very handy even when you join the corporate. You want to become a judge, even then it would become a very handy exposure, because one must know how the courts are functioning, and one must also know how to represent, how to achieve the pleadings in the court. But if you completely want to join the corporate, then maybe you may decide you may skip this portion. So you must start finding an effective counsel where you can learn the trial work. In the beginning year, very important for you to understand the procedure of trial, to understand how the pleadings are formatted, how the documents are filed, in case it is a civil matter. You must also understand how the bail applications are drafted, how a criminal trial starts, what all are the procedures. So you may identify which area attracts you more, and then accordingly join a senior in that area. But I would prefer that you should join a person. If suppose you are in Delhi, then you can join a person who is having the trial court and high court exposure. If you are not in Delhi, then anywhere else you may try to join a trial court. You must understand the trial court bar in case you want to join litigation. For rest of the matters, you will have to strictly go by. You can develop your knowledge in regard to corporate work, corporate drafting, and of course, this is the transition period, final year. So therefore, you must apply before the firms.
Then there is Shalini Singh. Thank you so much, sir. With respect to reading judgments of the Supreme Court, can you guide as to what subject matters should be taken up initially, as it's going to become exceptionally haywire just picking up random judgments and reading it? So how do you find relevant good judgments to go with that also serves the purpose of learning law efficiently?
Yeah, I want to answer this question. This is a very nice question and very important as well. We keep on trying to find in our life that this is relevant for me. But in law, the knowledge has to be vast. The knowledge should not be restricted to one area or not only limited to law only. If you are a student of literature, it will work well for you. You can quote some quotes from the literature. If you are you like to read out autobiographies or biographies of people, you can quote some quotes from the biography. You are an avid reader of history, it can work well for you. So in being a lawyer and being an advocate, more particularly in litigation, when you have to argue the matter, you never know what kind of armor can work for you effectively. So anything, the situation can develop into any unknown territory, which you are unknown today. But your guide from your studies, from your readings, from your knowledge base can be very helpful, So you can respond to any situation because of the vast knowledge that you create. So do not limit your exposure to only the known cases. Read as many as cases. Just jo aa jaye, wo pad lo aap. Whatever comes to your way, read them out. It's a judgment for 3 pages, read them out. What has to be read? What has to be read? I will tell you that portion. That's very, very important because there are judgments which may be of 4 pages, 10 pages, 20 pages, 100 pages, 1000 pages. Am I saying that you need to read 1000 pages? No. So we must learn the art of reading judgment. Art of reading judgment for the purpose of academic, for your own learning. So there is another purpose that we are going to refer those judgments in a case of while contesting a case. So then that time we have to find the issue involved in the case and then collate. But right now we are not collating that issue. Right now we are reading the judgment for our own knowledge. So in every judgment, most of the judgments, para 1 and 2 contains the outline, why this judgment is being written. Some basic facts are written there. Read them. What are the background facts of a judgment? Never read head notes. Like SEC, never read them. They are not merely enough. So read the first paragraph and then second paragraph where you get the factual detail, why it is arising. Also read how many judges are delivering this judgment. It is a constitute 5 judges bench, 7 judges bench, 9 judges bench, 2 judges bench. So it may be any. So we must know the outline so that we could refer the outline in our mind to collate the issue arising in the judgment. Then you go to the conclusion part. Okay, this is the factual situation. In the question number para 2, generally courts usually they decide, okay, these are the issues they are going to pronounce on. If it is not in para 2, maybe in para 3. So just try to find out where the issues are framed by the court, by the Supreme Court, where the issues are not framed in an open manner. Okay, we frame the following issues. So they just tell in a very concealed manner, okay, we are going to decide this. You must understand the language. When you will read few judgments, you would understand that. So after that, you go to the conclusion part. You will come to the conclusion in the end. You will know, okay, this has been done. But at the same time, while jumping to the conclusion, after reading the conclusion, you go back to the judgment, go to the part where the court says that we have heard the counsels of the parties. So it may occur anywhere after the arguments of both the parties have been noticed or noted in the judgment. You start reading from there on and try to see how these issues have been crystallized, discussed, and decided. So try to have, roving inquiry. You don't really need to go in depth while reading judgment for your knowledge purpose. So you have to establish and then you have to understand the basic idea how this judgment arises and what kind of pronouncement pertaining to which law. What is important also to see, what are the sections of law which are involved in the matter? And once those sections are there, do read those sections. Because that way you would be able to understand how the court has read the particular provision. So many times it happens, the court has already, given a different meaning to the provision. So you would be able to understand that thing. So once you do this, and maybe it means once we start doing this together, so in coming time, I would be able to help you more effectively.
So there is a question from Ritvik. Being a first generation lawyer, having an experience of 0 to 2 years, what should be a step-by-step approach when a client approaches you for his case? What are the key points as a lawyer one should keep in mind?
Surely means, as I told you, that I would be evolving process. I would be evolving a process for you which will effectively help you. For that, what we are going to do, like we are meeting for the first time, in the coming time, we are going to create certain subcategories of a community in the same community. The subcategories would be, first category would be the law students. Second category would be 0 to 2 years. Third category would be 3 to 5 years. And fourth category would be 5 years to 10 years. And then fifth category would be 10 years and above. Because each category has a different requirement. So what you need will not be helpful for a law student and someone who is having above 5 years or more practice. So we are going to evolve that formula for you, where we can effectively help you. Like, for example, if suppose you want to develop clientele and client is approaching you, and it is the same kind of question when I was in practice, I came in practice. So it was only 1.5 years that someone approached me. I will give you by example. So it so happened it was a very big matter, and somehow they bumped into me in a party. So it so happened now this guy was talking, and he was a very senior person of that particular association, which was involved in a litigation before the Supreme Court. So we were just discussing, eating food, discussing, and then they told me certain outlines. Okay, this is what is happening in their matter. This person is very senior to me, and then I am a totally young person, 1.5 years of practice, and not too much of knowledge base, but at the same time, which we will come to know whether I developed something or not. So now what happens? This guy tells me now this matter is being handled by somebody so big, but nothing is getting done. So I told him, why don't you ask him to do this? I gave him certain idea with my own analysis of the facts that he presented to me. I told him that we can do means you should do this. I told him these two things should be done in this matter effectively. Then he discussed with his own superior, the final authority in that particular society. And that final authority of the society, they really got engrossed with the idea what I suggested. Then he called me the very next day. He asked me to talk to this guy who was the final authority in this society. And this guy asked me, can it be done? I said, why not? It should be done. This is the logical step. So then thereafter, they said, after 2-3 days, they came back to me. They said, sir, you do this matter. We withdraw this matter from him. Can you achieve it? I cannot guarantee you. I can only try. But this is the logical step you discuss with any of the lawyers. They gave me that matter. And what for this matter was given to me, I achieved that also. I engaged Mr. Sibal at that time, Mr. K.K. Venugopal in that matter that time, various other senior counsel in that matter. But I achieved what I wanted to achieve. So now we come back to the point, how could I know in the practice of 1.5 years, how could I know something which even a very senior person failed to, implement? So it is the knowledge that I developed, maybe. I was guided by the knowledge. I was guided by the reason, not emotion. On the basis of the facts that were presented to me, I applied what is the possible scenario. What is the procedure in Supreme Court? So one must know there is a procedure, there is a law. Procedure is not usually interpreted, law is interpreted, but then procedure becomes very handy, very important. Without knowing the procedure, you cannot implement the law as well. Because then you will fail. You will be, attacked in the procedural hurdles only. You will finish there. So I worked on the procedure. Okay, this is what has to be done in this matter. There was some legal point also. I could understand that. I applied my mind. And what helped me, I had this habit. I used to read judgments every day. And more so, I had created a very small group, 3-4 people. We would discuss court proceeding each day. In the evening, we will sit together for half an hour in the library, and then we will talk about it. Okay, in this court, this has happened. In this court, this has happened. And then also we will talk about 3 judgments each person. So what we avoided? We avoided hearing from people infracting in general parlance that they are saying, okay, this judge passed this judgment. So anything that we are hearing in the corridor, we will always verify, validate, then take it as our own. Otherwise, we will discredit. We will not use it as a sermon from our own mouth. Because there are a lot of gossips, and even the truth, even the falsity is spread like it is the only truth. So I understood in the very first year of my law practice that anything I have to rely on, anything I have to speak on, I have to first validate, cross-check it. Make sure what has been stated to you is true. If you do not find it true, or you are unable to ascertain the truth of it, do not refer to it. And that really helped me. So, guided by the reading of judgment, guided by my own, senior chamber, and then I was in the practice. So I was learning. So with that learning, I could achieve my first client in 1.5 years. And that client paid me lakhs of rupees in that time, in the beginning. So that's what can be achieved. But here, you need to prepare yourself. So it is like you think you want to cross 10 kilometers of walk, and it's raining. So you say, I want to cross without getting soaked in the water. So therefore, you need to have an umbrella or some shelter which can pass you through without getting soaked. So knowledge is that path, that umbrella. So you can pass through any hurdle, any rain of time. So what is the next question?
There's a question from Raghav Khanna. This might be a long one. So he just needs advice on how to find a good senior to join.
Well, I will tell you my own example. So it so happened when I was I was in law college. So what I did I had some internship time at that time as well. But when I have completed my law, so I wanted to join as a senior. So I decided not to ask from people, not to do anything because I had no background. किसी को बोल भी नहीं सकता था, बोलता तो भी कुछ नहीं होता. So maybe under compulsion, but it became a very good formula. So I sat in the court. So I used to sit in the court. मैं High Court भी गया, Supreme Court भी गया उस समय में. So I would see who is arguing how effectively and who is appealing to me. So I started, communicating with a couple of those guys, 3-4 senior advocates. And fortunately for me, I was on the fitter side. I used to look like a good studious guy. So they were able to talk to me. I gave respect to them. So that's how I finalized on certain names. And I started, working on those names in a month's time. And one gave me the chance. So you approach directly if suppose need be, even if you do not have any background, even if you do not have anyone to support you through or to give your name to them, just try to take your own time, work on the area where they are working. You must be acquainted with the knowledge. They must feel that you are going to be an asset and not liability. So you need to make them, any senior you want to join, if you make them feel that you are going to be an asset, not liability. Asset to the extent they do not want you to be productive enough that their entire earnings are through you. Asset to be that they would be able to guide you, they would love to guide you, but you should be able to receive that guidance and improve upon. So that particular, arena has to be developed by you only. And then find out, means I just told you how to find myself. If suppose you have references, you can find through references as well. I had no one to refer to, so therefore I did this way. And perhaps this was the worst possible way that I did, but this worked very effectively.
Now, there is one more from Gurjot Singh.
Mm-hmm.
What is the scope of immigration law in India? And he's working as a legal associate in an immigration firm in Chandigarh currently.
I have not practiced in the immigration, so therefore I would not be the best guide to you to tell you what is the scope of immigration. But as I hear, and then one of my associate, Yash Verma, had been my associate, and he had migrated into immigration laws, and he is in Toronto. So as per him, what I heard from him, he told me that there is a very good scope with regard to immigration laws, and too much is happening in regard to this. So therefore, I do think that there is going to be good career building in this area, and then you can move to different countries as well.
There is one message from Amit Sharma. Good evening, sir. It is a great initiative to interact with you. Big thanks for the same. I was lucky enough that I got an opportunity to intern with you in 2018. I learned a lot here from your deep insights on law. Right now, I'm practicing in trial courts. My question is that at what stage one should switch to the High Court or the Supreme Court? Like after a particular number of clients or the number of cases, or maybe how financially stable should a person be before he shifts to the High Court or the Supreme Court?
See, it's about the design that life has with us. There is no particular or fixed formula for this. What can be done? You gain exposure of trial courts and High Court, then you can come to Supreme Court. And when you feel that now your learnings are enough, you would know the best. You are the best person to know when is the time to switch over. There's always some kick that we get by doing certain kind of work. We feel very motivated. When the motivation start dying, that is the time to switch. Means if suppose I have to apply it to myself, so if I'm not motivated to do a particular kind of work, then that is the time to move. So if suppose you are really thriving well, you are doing well, you are enjoying your work, there is no time, you are enjoying it. Then some transition can be, inroad transition can be done by way of doing some practice or joining someone who has trial court and High Court both, because you have already mastered to some extent trial court work. So you must, after 2 years or 3 years, 2 years or 3 years are good enough in any kind of procedure work that you have become acquainted with. Thereafter, you need to upgrade yourself to better understand law, better understand the application, interpretation. So 2-3 साल बहुत है ट्रायल कोर्ट में, उसके बाद में आप चले जाइए हाई कोर्ट, और उसके बाद में और हाई कोर्ट में भी 2-3 साल बहुत है, उसके बाद में आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट का वर्क समझ लीजिए. आप उल्टा भी कर सकते हैं, जैसे मेरे केस में. In my case, what I did, I started in Supreme Court, then went to High Court and trial court. So it can be either way. So what happened with me, I started in Supreme Court, so I started understanding the law, the application of law, the interpretation of law. I started reading, understanding the judgments. So the core portion, the gravity portion of the law was, became my forte. Then came the question of procedure of trial courts, High Courts. So the application of law was best learned in Supreme Court. And in my case, it really worked very, very well. And fortunately for me, I got a very good senior at that time who taught me well. And he And therefore means a good chamber and a good senior becomes the key of your success at times. So I would not say that my senior was the key of my success, but yeah, the formative period, if it is spent well, you have learnt well, it will work very effectively.
There's one last question. A lot of people have given the same question. So what is your vision with VNS KUTUMB? Will there be a weekly meeting for those of us who wish to remain in touch with you and seek guidance from you?
See, we will come with the vision very soon. I told you about the goal, how to achieve these goals for the different categories of people. We will have to segregate those categories first, and then we will start interacting. My office will start interacting with them separately in the beginning to understand what kind of requirements are there that would make you to be guided, mentored, and supported. So on that basis, I would prepare a curriculum, I would prepare an idea, develop into an effective mechanism, so that whatever problems you face, you do not face them. Whatever lacuna you feel, you do not feel them. I have that vision that you should feel empowered. So the idea, the vision is to make you empowered. So what all steps have to be taken would depend on your own feedback first. So we will be doing some feedback thing in the beginning. So thereafter, then we will effectively work out how it has to be evolved. So it would be completely scientific. I am not coming with any preconceived notions that it has to be this way only. It would be depending on your own kinds of problem you face and your own understanding as to how you want to be guided, how you want to be mentored. And thereafter, I will develop a scientific method to help you in that. So give me some time after we are thorough with our research with you. So research cannot be done in vain. So for that, I need real-time people, and you are the real-time people. You and more people are required to give feedbacks on this with regard to your own requirement. What kind of difficulties you face. And then I know in generic way, I know many things. So I would be working on that. So I have already started building your curriculum for you. So it will be out in coming time effectively. So we will decide on this in next to next month, whether it would be weekly or monthly, but then it would be effectively different for different set of groups. So first we will segregate those groups. Okay.
Last 3 questions. So Manoj Pradhan says, sir, I am a senior project manager in the IT field, pursuing law currently. Just wanted to know what approach should be taken for tech law, data protection, privacy law, etc. What approach should be taken in tech law, data, and privacy law?
Oh, that's entirely different question to be with regard to the guidance, mentorship, and support. But nevertheless, you are already part of a particular industry, and industry-specific law have this IT law is already in the formation. We have the IT Act, but at the same time, privacy law and various other laws relating to this law are already in the making. They have not yet been implemented. So this development will take effect, take time to effect, but at the same time, the law develops with the interpretation given by the Supreme Court or the High Court in the absence of Supreme Court. So therefore, I would say that you must IT law related judgment, go through regularly IT law related judgments, and keep a close watch on the development of law, so that you are very much upright with the kind of questions that may arise in your process. So the rest, this is a thing which can be discussed in private in coming time.
Then there is a question from Charvi. I know her. She's my friend. So she's asking, I'm a third-year law student. My question is, how do you suppose we deal with the issue of achieving a vision at all? since law itself is a very vast field with endless professional possibilities, be it in India or even outside India, and indeed it's a little overwhelming. That's the question.
So what is the question?
See,
It is a statement.
how to narrow the vision, I think. How to.
No, it's not about narrowing the vision. Means I can help you only to the extent you want to be helped. And that's why I said, I need to understand you first. Then I can only evolve. Then only I can evolve. What formula would fit for you? So one formula cannot fit all. So you need to understand what you want. If you are confused, I would not be able to help you. But I can help you to remove confusion. So if the lot which is confused, I will have to separately deal with them. Because first I will have to bring them to the mainstream, that they are not confused at all. So vast stream doesn't mean that you would be running in the vast stream. At a given specific time period, you are dealing with one kind of question, with one kind of matter, one kind of law. Master it. When you are having another potential matter, then you master it. So strategy building comes with the knowledge. If you have no knowledge, there would be no possible strategy at all. You can only understand, okay, I want to achieve this. I want to reach to the moon. But how do I want to reach to the moon? I will have to use rocket in coming terms. So how do I have a rocket? So that means I have to achieve the rocket. To achieve the rocket, to have the rocket, what I will have to have money. I will have to means the operator for the rocket. So it is just like this, backward. So we narrow down, okay, I am today this, so I will have to earn this much money. That's how I procure rocket, and that's how after using rocket, I reach to the moon. So there are various sub-steps. So they would always be there in life. So there is a vast potential in any stream of law or any stream of life. You have to narrow down to your own requirement, your own, not only the requirement, but also your resources, available resources, and see how you can develop. Anything else?
There's one last question from Naveen Kumar. Sir, how can I improve my communication skills so that I can be able to argue and present my case adequately in a high court?
Oh, well. I do not know whether you are going to sorry, depends on the method, how you want to do it, where you feel the lacuna. So practicing on the lacuna means, if suppose you feel that there is a difficulty in speech delivery, then you must practice speech. If you feel there is a difficulty in understanding the meaning of sentences or framing of the sentences, then you must start framing of the sentences and take able guide. There are learning methods on those. Even if you open LinkedIn, there are various methods, learning methods on there. So just first of all, understand where is the lacuna. What do you think that there is a deficiency? And thereafter, you start working on removing it. So in general, I cannot per se explain to you the entire process, but you will have to, this has to be very specific. What are your areas of lacuna and how they can be removed. But in coming time, we would be working on this area as well, because this is very, very important and effective area, which makes the biggest difference in the practice of law. So I hope we are done. So guys, it's wonderful. Can we take some group picture? Is there a possibility?
I think everyone can start their videos.
Guys, can you start your videos? Means now you can. But how do we
I will
open?
grid.
We are just opening the grid for the group picture.
You guys can open your videos.
Now you guys can open your videos, please. Come. Well, right now in my team, there's Honkar, Khyati, they were the back support right now. Yeah.
I'll do that.
Let all of them open and then take the screenshots.
Command Shift
Shift
three.
and three.
हाँ, चलो,
Yeah.
take it.
Just give a few more seconds if
Just
anyone
a
wants
few
to.
more seconds so that-
More people can open the videos, please.
There are people opening. There's still people opening.
So start taking screenshots maybe in the meantime. One more.
There'll be a next slide also.
It's the same people.
No, it's different.
चलो देखो.
Really?
No, there's one more slide.
Done.
Done?
Yes. So thank you. It was nice to connect with you. We will connect soon, means in coming time. And in the meantime, I would request all of you to join the WhatsApp group and then also motivate others to join it so that we could effectively work on the process to evolve some fruitful curriculum and understanding how to guide and mentor and support you all. All the very best. Thank you so much for joining. All the very best to you. Namaskar.
We left.